Hey, everybody. Welcome to the newest edition of Think Suburbia, the podcast of the Suburban Virginia Republican Coalition. We're continuing with our series of talking and chatting and getting to know our statewide candidates. As you all know, that election is coming up. So today we are welcoming one of our lieutenant governor candidates, Maeve Rigler. First, I want to introduce my co-host, Mary Campbell, one of the co-founders of SUVGOP with myself and the co-host of this podcast. Mary.
Thank you, Jill. Maeve, welcome today. We are delighted to have you with us. Maeve Rigler is running for lieutenant governor. And Maeve, I really enjoyed reading your resume and to note how you're really a very self-made person. I noticed that you are a native Virginian, as I am.
Yes.
And to see that you have worked so hard to be where you are today. I know you and your husband own a law company, so congratulations on that. But tell us a little bit about your journey that brought you to where you are today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about where I come from. Yes, I am a native Virginian, as you said, and I was born and raised in Fairfax County. So I love Virginia, and I love Fairfax County for that matter. I had a tough life. I think that's probably why I'm a fighter. Okay, I'm a fighter because I know what it's like not to have somebody in your corner fighting for you. And yes, I have had a life of hard knocks, but I am also living the American dream. So I know firsthand how anyone and everyone can overcome adversity, so long as you believe in the power of faith, individual liberty, and economic opportunity. And of course, isn't that what our party is all about?
Yes,
So
it is.
I'm a strong voice for our Republican Party. And I had to escape a family life of abuse at 16 years old. And so, while most 16-year-olds are learning how to drive, I was learning how to read and write. And so I taught myself the basics. I then went to the community college, Northern Virginia Community College, which is a wonderful place. And then from there, I went to a 4-year school. From there, I went to law school. From there, I clerked for a federal judge. I mention that only because very few law graduates have the honor of clerking for federal judges. And so I worked very hard for that. And then my husband and I opened up our own law firm. We were very successful at it, and I'm very proud of that. But I had an idea to open up my own business. And so I opened up a business, 100% owned, woman-owned business, and my husband worked for me. I persuaded him to be my CFO and COO.
Excellent.
Yes, it took some persuasion, but I got him there. And I told him I wouldn't fire him either. Well, pretty much. Pretty much. But I knew him because I worked with him at our law firm. So we specialize in providing supercomputers to our country's national labs. So we deal with the finest scientific minds in the world. And that has taught me a tremendous amount. That's taught me about, look, when there's a problem, they just don't buckle. The scientists, they're working on our nuclear weapons. They're working on our climate change. They're working on, I'm proud to say, several of the labs we're working on the COVID-19, helping develop the COVID-19 vaccines. So, naturally, all of this were challenges, the COVID in particular. But what they don't do is they don't buckle. Okay, they come up with ideas. They think outside the box. And that's what I think we need to do as candidates in the Republican Party. That's why I'm running. One other reason, obviously, I'm running is because I worked for the Trump legal team in North Carolina. And it's there that I first saw seeing it and feeling it, the importance of election integrity. And so when I came back, and obviously I'm listening to all of our candidates for lieutenant governor, and they are nice. All of them are good. Okay, everybody's good, right? But I didn't hear them standing up more forcefully for voter integrity and election integrity. And that's why I jumped in the race.
Excellent. Actually, you kind of answered a little bit of my next question, but we'll get to that. But I just want a little aside, not to talk about myself, but one of my first positions with a genetic engineering company out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. When you talk about, I loved reading in your biography about that. We developed the first accurate HIV diagnostic test way back in the 80s. So
wow.
I know all about those brilliant minds. We also worked on Lyme disease. So I know
that's amazing.
People who think that way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
creative, very creative. Yeah.
Yes, very creative, very creative. So you've entered the race a bit late.
Yes.
You just did reference why you jumped in, but what prompted you to jump in at this particular point when everybody else was somewhat established?
I understand. Look, as I said, I worked for the Trump legal team. I saw the importance of voter integrity. I saw the importance of election integrity, and I did not hear my opponents standing up forcefully enough against voter fraud. Look, if we don't protect our elections from fraud in Virginia, okay, then all the other issues that are so near and dear to our hearts as Republicans, well, they'll be for naught because the Democrats will just steamroll us in November. And so I felt it was very important to have somebody who has a fighting spirit and a fighter instinct in her, and also one who is just, I'm passionate about it. Because we have to change it. You know, we all know what happened in 2020 in states like Georgia and Pennsylvania and Michigan and others. We just can't have that happen in Virginia. That's why.
Yeah. I'd like to follow up just a little bit on your original opening statement. You talked about the fact that you and your husband have your own law firm. And I know that as a business owner, you have seen the tremendous negative impact on business here in the state of Virginia under the Democrat administration. What are your biggest areas of concern with this? And as a business owner, what might you want to change as Lieutenant Governor, working in a Republican administration, to make our state number one for business in the nation again, because we have lost that recognition?
Yes, I said voter integrity got me into the race, but I'm also a business owner, as you know. And so I'm passionate about helping our businesses and making Virginia number one in job creation and number one in business friendliness. Look, what's happened over the past year, we as Republicans know this, at COVID, obviously we didn't have to have a total lockdown of our economy. It's been, we knew it then and we know it now. We're smart people, okay, Republicans, right? We're free enterprise people. We can figure this out. But unfortunately, the Democrats did a total lockdown. It's heartbreaking how many businesses have gone under, how many jobs we've had just lost. We have to bring them back. And the way we bring them back is with business-friendly policies, like lower taxes and fewer regulations. We've got to do it. For example, the corporate tax here in Virginia is 6%, as we all know, right, for businesses. That's too high. That's just too high. We have to get it lower, and it will attract more creative people to get into the business world. It will also create people coming here to Virginia to open up businesses. And so that's what we have to do. We have to open up our businesses, and also the regulations. There are just too many of them. I was talking to a small business owner in Warrenton. It's an adorable small kind of a gift wine type of business. It's called the Town Duck. And she's a lovely person. And she said, look, I want fewer regulations. I want to be able to grow my business, right? I asked her about taxes. She said, well, I'm new to this, so I'm not sure about taxes, but I suggested that taxes would also help fuel the growth of businesses. So it will be a number one business friendly state. We've got to do it.
Excellent. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. So now switching a tiny bit different subject. We all know, as you said, you did not grow up in the lap of luxury and had to do a bit of a challenging home environment,
Yes.
to say the least. Yeah. How will that affect your governance in areas such as, social programs, educational opportunities? Because you obviously took advantage of the educational opportunities that were afforded you. a much more difficult path than most people. So
I
how
know.
does that affect your policies?
Well, first of all, I think understanding that what people are doing this past year, they've suffered terribly. I'm passionate about opening the schools and making sure that children have 5-day-a-week in classroom instruction. I am so sick and tired of the teachers' unions dictating the terms to the parents. This has been outrageous. I think that they've been held hostage by the teachers' unions. I think that we Republicans need to stand up to the teachers' unions, okay? And how do we do that? Well, cleverly, right? We follow the path of the Iowa governor. I don't know if you're familiar with that legislation that just passed, but she's terrific, and she spearheaded a school choice measure, which did pass with a lot of Democrats in Iowa, I might add. And the bottom line is that it gives the resources, the monies that would otherwise go to the locality for that school to the parents. So the parents are empowered. Look, we need to empower the parents. So in terms of my influence as lieutenant governor, I will spearhead that. I will fight for that because parents have been just taken hostage and it's not right. So that would be a very number one agenda. In addition, obviously, to election integrity. But I think right now we've got to open our schools. Look, children are suffering. Even the liberal Washington Post admitted that, virtual learning is not working. And in Fairfax County, the failure rate is doubling. So we have to really get on this and get on it fast. And never again will we allow the teachers unions to dictate the terms. They're nothing but a special interest group. They don't care about our children and they don't care about our parents.
I like your passion there, and I agree.
Well said. I'm a former teacher, and I could not agree more, Maeve. So thank you so much for saying that and saying it so forcefully. As you know, our statewide races, the 3 top races, are all voted on individually, and therefore sometimes strange things can happen. We don't like to even think about us not winning all 3 of the races, but
I would be there, Mary.
But unfortunately, we have
to win this year.
So how would you see yourself working with a Democrat governor or a Democrat attorney general? How would you envision a mixed administration?
Well, first of all, we have to win this November. We've got to beat those socialist Democrats. I mean it. This is such an important election. But
I'm with you.
I know you are. But if I had to work with a Democratic governor or attorney general, I would spearhead the issues that are near and dear to our hearts. Number 1, election integrity. Number 2, opening the schools and school choice. Right, funding the police, not defunding the police. I mean, these are issues that I would speak out and fight for conservatives in Virginia, and fight for Second Amendment rights. Listen, it's not right. Of course, it's not right. But I would say if I had to work with the Democrats, I would be a bigger fighter and a stronger fighter and a louder fighter. Okay, so we have to stand by our principles. We have to get them to understand why. And this is what I would fight for and explain.
Excellent. That's a good plan. So speaking of the Democrats in control, there has been a lot of bad legislation passed this past year. I mean, lots of very harmful. What, in your opinion, is the most harmful things that Democrats have done? And what can we do about it? What can we do about it? Actually, whether we have a hybrid, offices or, we are in control. What is the first thing that you think you might want to address to reverse the damage that they have done?
Well, first of all, we need to repeal the concept of no voter ID. They've taken that away, right? And they essentially have what Georgia had, and that is mail-in voting. That's just not going to fly. It's not going to happen on my watch. We have to basically reinstate the concept of a voter ID. Now, a lot of the liberals have a fit with this. They say, "Oh, we're racist, and you're making us. Some people just don't even drive." That's fine. We will have a state-issued identification so that everyone, even if you don't drive, you will have your face on that ID. okay? So that it's just has to be done. We have to reinstate the witness requirement on absentee ballots, which they've taken away in the legislation. We have to purge our voter rolls more often, okay? I'd say on a monthly basis. And you know, there's a gentleman who is spearheading inside the state of Virginia. His name is Stanley Gilbert. He's an amazing guy. He's just brilliant. And he knows the ins and outs of voter integrity. And what he's doing is he's going all across our state and he's educating all the poll workers and the unit directors all over the state on how to purge the rolls, how to look for irregularities, so that we, on the date of the election, we are not flat-footed. We're prepared. So his point is we have to be prepared way ahead of time. And I agree with him. So in terms of that legislation, that has got to change. Look, it's going to go the way of Nancy Pelosi and HR 1 if we don't reinstate this law of voter ID and witnesses to absentee voting, et cetera. Because look, all the liberal Democrats, the socialists, in my opinion, want is they really want illegal immigrants to be able to vote. And that's just not, that's un-American. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen on my watch.
Maeve, we know that, we've had a wonderful time with you today, but we're almost at the end of our short time here. Is there anything that you would like to say or tell us before we wrap it up?
Yes, I would love the opportunity. Thank you so much. So first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate
We're
it.
Delighted.
I am a political outsider and I am a fighter. My opponents are good people. There's no question about it. But I think this year, we need to do something different. We need to shake things up here in Virginia. We need an outsider with a fresh face and fresh ideas. And that's why I'm running. And that's why I will fight for you. I will fight for conservatives in Virginia. I will fight for the American dream because I know how to build something from nothing. Okay, so I will. I'm Maeve Rigler. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I'm so honored to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Maeve. That is just a very inspiring closing. We love that. That's, we all feel the same way. We all feel that this is the year we have to do this year. We really do. And I think we have a great opportunity. And I love your passion and your interest and your background. So if someone was interested in getting involved in your campaign, volunteering, donating, do you have
Yes.
website?
Yes, I do. It's maeveforvirginia.com. My name, Maeve, Maeve, forvirginia.com.
Is that for spelled out or the?
Yes, it is. It's spelled out.
FOR.
FOR.
Okay.
Virginia.
Okay.
Wonderful state.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. So this pretty much wraps up this edition of Think Suburbia, the podcast of the Suburban Virginia Republican Coalition. I want to thank you, Maeve.
Thank you.
Thank my co-host, Mary. If you are interested in seeing our entire library of podcasts, please go to SUVGOP.com and go to the page with the drop-down menu that says our podcast. You'll find our candidates from last year, this year, some issues-based podcasts. And we look forward to, after the election of the statewide offices, we'll be focusing on some House of Delegates candidates. So Maeve, good luck. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
See you all next time on the next edition of Think Suburbia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maeve.
Bye.